Um, it's another live session. It's Thursday afternoon. I had my morning workout up and posted. Today was 6 count burpees, 20 minutes, busy dad style, 238 reps. Um, Maybe some of you who've watched my burpee videos for a while notice I'm not exactly chasing reps. I'm not exactly not chasing reps either. Um, it's the intent is to be intuitive, if you can intend such a thing, to be spontaneous, if you can plan such a thing. More or less, it's about allowing, letting the session unfold as it does with the body that I have today. Um, that's an old saying from my Bikram yoga days, when I was practicing Bikram yoga every single day, sometimes twice a day, along with kettlebell lifting and my at home yoga practice and running and beginning ultra running. Um, that was a lot. And eventually, something had to give, not my body, not my mind, but the Bikram yoga practice itself had to give way. It was fairly expensive anyway. Um, you can really become addicted to the heat. I love the motions. You can do the motion anywhere. Um, but doing them in that heat, um, that cleansing effect that you felt after you've walked out of a Bikram yoga class is really addictive and hard to beat. Um, I do like to practice. Um, Bikram himself, some issues there. Not for me to really talk about because um, I don't know. I don't know the details. I don't follow the scandals, most especially in the yoga community or the meditation community. Um, I know they're out there. Um, I like the wisdom of Osho, but I know he was a troubled sort. Um, Trungpa as well had some issues. Um, Probably the best advice that anyone could get in their situation is don't become a guru. Don't believe your own hype. Don't use it's a tantric practice as an excuse. Be humble, be a servant, do the work. Um, your enlightenment is not an excuse to be a dick. Words of wisdom. Uh, you heard it here first. Your enlightenment is not an excuse to be a dick. And maybe we should say your awakening, because I have several awakened friends. I use that term hesitantly because I agree with my friend Robert Saltzman, author of The 10,000 Things and um, Depending on No Thing, that awakening never ends. You have an awakening and it continues to unfold and deepen and um, gain insights within yourself and how the world unfolds from that unique perspective. Um, but I have several awakened and awakening friends who take it as an excuse to be a dick, to be a complete dick. Um, and they love to enter a Zen battle with someone else. Um, that, oh, you have had a lightning awakening experience. It's nothing compared to my awakening experience on guard. And then the battle begins and it's tiresome. Um, it makes no sense to me at all. You have an awakening experience. We don't even need to call it an experience. You've had an awakening. Good for you. Now live it, however that unfolds in your life. Um, and leave my awakening experience to me, whatever it is, however it unfolds. So, um, Basically, just talking for a few minutes before I read from my blog because I don't want someone popping in mid blog reading and be asking, um, what the hell is this guy talking about? This way, I get to, just riff off the top of my head, whatever comes up, and then sort of ease into the blog and whatever develops from uh, reading of the blog. Sometimes it is deep and meaningful, and other times, maybe most of the time, it is simply me yammering on. Yammering. There's a nod and a wink to Paul from Oregon and Mocha McCarty, uh, both in on the yammering joke. Um, Came a few days ago. So let's go on to today's blog post. Um, for anyone who jumps in, right before this, I had a 5-minute talk on not being a dick. Um, Important advice here from the McCarty Burpee channel. Um, Again, the saying is, don't let your awakening make you a dick. There's no excuse. Um, a lot of times people sense that great freedom that awakening brings. And then that little voice in the head says, hey, I can be a dick now because it just doesn't matter. Everything matters. Nothing matters. Everything matters. If nothing matters, that means everything matters. Everything. Little details. Most especially others, other people, other people's feelings. You know, again, I probably mentioned this every other conversation that we have. Maharishi Mahesh, when he was asked, how do you treat others? And his answer was a simple smile and the words, there are no others. That's awakening. Why cause pain? Even a minor discomfort of making someone feel bad about themselves in some way is just not worth it. It's not worth doing that to others, to myself, if that makes sense, because no suffering is misplaced. If you suffer, I suffer. Just the way it works. I don't make the rules. So, my blog post today, um, it was about sunrise walks, sort of. Hopefully, there's a deeper connection here that maybe we'll be able to discover together as I read and then I talk about it after, or we can talk about it after. If anyone has a question, if anyone ever has a question, even after the fact, after you listen to this, um, just go ahead and type it in the comment section. I will get there and I will do my best to make up an answer because I promise you, I have no answers whatsoever. I know absolutely nothing. I surmise a lot. I don't say that with false humility. Um, I say that because um, who am I to have an answer? I have things, um, insights. We all do, and then we can compare them. And if these insights make us collectively happier, if they make us individually happier, if they bring joy to their life, if they give us a little bit of peace, we're onto something. Sometimes those insights cause a lot of discomfort, but that later leads to peace. It leads to a greater understanding because sometimes we got to let go of that ego, the voice of the ego, before we reach that greater understanding within. Sometimes we do. The only way to get out of suffering is to go through suffering because it's present. I'm not saying that we have to seek out suffering. I've spent a lifetime doing that, but suffering happens, sorrow happens, grief happens. Life sometimes sucks, but there's an underlying joy beneath. When how we get there? Hi, Mocha. Thank you for popping in. I appreciate it. Um, the only way we get through suffering when it happens is to go through suffering when it happens. Be present. That's it. Um, Sounds so simple, and it is, but it's not pleasant in the least. But what else can we do? Pretend it doesn't happen? Escapism? Put on a false facade? That's the same word, false and facade. Um, Mask of positivity. You can fool the outside world, maybe, probably not, but you never fool yourself deeply down. You just, it's that old saying about the clown basically wears a mask to protect himself. Um, anyway, that has little to do with my blog post, which is about taking a walk first thing in the morning. Sunrise Walks is actually the title. And here it goes. Several months ago, right at the edge of early spring and the last reach of winter's still frigid mornings, I began a ritual of sunrise walks, getting first light to touch my eyes and cause the hormonal response of circulating cortisol, epinephrine, I know I messed that up, and dopamine, a chain reaction to produce greater energy in the morning, and then a slow shift to the production of serotonin and melatonin as the day progresses. The circadian rhythm and natural order of early waking, being energetic through the day, and then on to a long restorative slumber lasting throughout the night. And it works. I'm alert, creative, and productive through the day, and by nightfall I find that I am ready for bed with less need for a long unwind before sleep arrives. Of sunrise walks and the magic of first light, my life is restored to its natural order. More so, I find myself spiritually renewed each morning, immersed in early night in nature, my body committed to motion by brisk pace, and I feel I belong to this part of the day, as fully as every creature spotted along the way. I am not a mere observer here, but more truly a participant, stalking the lengthening sunlight, basking in all that's touched within its reach. Through these early morning walks, I am most at home, restored. That was today's blog post. Um, and yep, it seems like getting some exercise first thing in the morning. Good advice. If I were to give advice, I try not to, because then you are blamed when that advice goes uh, lit up in shit flames, and it often does. Um, Not that I'm opposed to, you know, giving some advice here and there, um, but I'm trying to break myself of that habit. You know, again, I'd rather offer an insight. I'd rather offer a observation for what it's worth. But you know what? Sunrise walk. That's some um, plain old good advice. Get out in the morning, let the sun hit the eyes, get some exercise, get some clean, fresh air. Um, because, as I said, there's a hormonal reaction when that sunlight hits the eyes, and you will benefit from it later on at night. Not only are you burning calories first thing in the morning, getting some exercise goes a long, long way. Nothing beats walking. Um, for everything that it accomplishes. If you want big biceps, you know, walking's not going to do it. But if you want to be in shape, just, general good shape, burn some calories, get the heart beating, get out and take a walk. Throw in a little bit of running if you want. Um, but that sunlight hits the eyes and a hormonal response begins. You're getting that shot of energy, which is as good as any cup of coffee, maybe not taste wise. Um, and I am partial towards, these days, um, instant coffee. Got in the habit and I like it. I enjoy it. Um, I'm fortunate that mccarty here has actually given me some really, really good instant coffee. But to wake up, to get that day going, to get the positive benefits, get outside, get that first light, because all that stuff, all those hormones that are beginning in the morning to give you that energy, they die off later in the day. And in their wake, they leave the ingredients for serotonin and melatonin to be constructed, which is going to reduce stress and help us sleep later on at night. Um, I have a history of poor sleep. I have a history of some anxiety. I have a history of some depression, and morning walks, obviously, along with my meditation, along with my breath work, along with thousands upon thousands of burpees, um, have done a lot to help me. My diet. Um, Again, I talked about this morning. Plant-based. I went on a rant this morning, a plant-based rant, and there's no rage like a vegan's rage. Um, so be warned if anyone watches that. Uh, Remember, the hawk is green. It's green for a reason. Um, anyway, so not only do we get that hormonal response, as mentioned in my blog, that first light in the morning spiritually renews us. It's a meditation of its own. Just light, not even moving. Get outside and do the sun salutation. Get outside and do some qigong. Let that light hit the eyes and change the nature of your day. Change the nature of your body. The biochemistry is actually altered beneficially to just get out there. It's pretty amazing. Um, the things that we can do that makes a difference. After my last meal of the day, um, which is generally a little bit smaller, Vinny, Old Dog Fitness, posted the old saying of in the morning, eat like a king, in the afternoon, eat like a prince, something like that, and then in the evening, eat like a pauper. I do that pretty much, although my last meal of the day isn't pauper like. It's a lot of greens and a lot of fruit. Um, so I still get some calories, and I put a little scoop of plant-based protein in my last meal smoothie. But I make sure to get in at least a 10-minute walk, 9 to 10 minute walk. I say 9 to 10 minutes, not like it's a specific set time. I put on my teapot to make a last cup of tea before night. And I'm doing ginger tea to help digestion. And then as the teapot and the water is boiling, I walk my indoor track that was established by my late father in his last days when it was harder for him to get outside to walk. But he continued walking up to the day he went in the hospital for the last time. And he talked days before he passed away of getting in walks again with me. So I have that little track, my father, Wayne McCarty Memorial Indoor Track. And I walk it every day after my last meal, and it balances out blood sugar, which also helps me sleep at night. It's almost as if my waking moment becomes devoted to going back to sleep. Doesn't mean that I'm skipping over the awesomeness of the day. It just means that knowing that there's going to be some difficulties going to sleep, why not do some enjoyable things in the morning and the afternoon, later in the evening? They're going to help me sleep. That includes breath work throughout the day. Reducing stress now before it's an issue, because stress happens and we are not trying to avoid stress. Everything grows by stress. Continents separated because of stress. Mountains arise and are then worn down because of stress. A seed sprouts because of stress. So we don't avoid it because it's going to happen no matter what. There's going to be, I started the conversation off this morning, today, talking about not being a dick. Somebody's going to be a dick. That's the nature of life, that we are going to encounter a dick. Carlos Castaneda, the Toltec seer, Toltec master, his teacher, Don Juan, said that we should all be blessed by a petty tyrant. And of course we are. Everyone has one. They'll show up. They are here to help us, to teach us a lesson. If we are faced with a petty tyrant and we realize that we are being stalked by death on our left-hand side, everything becomes arranged in a very specific way. things just are no longer important about how long the line is, about how petty the tyrant is, about how much of a dick somebody is, because at any moment we could be tapped on the shoulder. Life's over. What's so important now, except for the very moment that we're alive and the natural joy that it contains? Um, Lessons like these are really pretty simple. Again, it goes down to don't be a dick and enjoy life, even when it doesn't seem very enjoyable, because we're pretty fortunate to be alive. I talk about this probably incessantly. Um, that for us to be here, for one, hey, Paul from Oregon and Mocha, um, this conversation is probably about to take off in a weird, unusual direction. Um, I should probably brace myself for what's possibly to come. Um, Paul, I don't know if you've read, I know we've probably talked about this, if you've ever read any, and David Whitten, one of my all-time favorite Canadians, and I have to be careful um, that I don't get the other Canadians up in arms. Um, it's funny because as I started, and I've kept saying this over and over again, the gist of this conversation so far has been don't be a dick to others, don't be a dick to yourself. And then I just mentioned Canadians, and I have never met a Canadian who was less than fully polite. I'm sure there are some out there who aren't. Um, Once I was traveling through Canada, I was going through New Brunswick, and I stopped at a fruit and vegetable stand with some friends, and they had canoes, and I asked if we could rent a canoe. We were going to go out on the Bay of Fundy, I believe. And he said, no, they don't rent canoes, they only sell them. But if we want to take a canoe out for a few hours, it was their pleasure. And they actually brought the canoe down to the ramp, set us up, gave us fruits and vegetables to go out and have lunch. Um, and then on the way back, I realized as we were driving, and I was hours away, I had left my very expensive Gore-Tex parka um, at the fruit and vegetable stand. And I wrote it off as lost. I couldn't remember the name of the stand. It was before cell phones, so I wasn't going to turn around. And maybe weeks later, when I was home, I received a phone call. They had found an expired library card in my pocket, and they called me and said they were sending it back. And they scolded me and said, that's a very expensive jacket you have. You should be more careful with that. That's the Canada that I love, by the way. And those are the Canadians that I love. And I do know quite a few Canadians, and they all seem to have that inherent, the magical Canadian. I agree. Canadians just seem to have that inherent magical quality of being nice. And you know what? We could go across the world and probably find that inherent quality within everyone, but in some it is buried quite deeply. And that's where Carlos Castaneda and his petty tyrant come in. That they are here serving a purpose to help us realize that nothing is more important than the present joy found in the moment. We can say, how can that be? If there's suffering going on, if there's grief going on, if there's, as they say in Taoism, the 10,000 things of life. Just a way of saying the infinite little bullshit things that go on every day. How can this moment be so special, so magical, so joyful if we have those 10,000 things going on? And again, because we're alive, because we exist, and because none of that has to be. We don't have to be alive. We don't have to exist. The entire universe had to come into existence, producing itself and producing what it needed to be itself in order for this moment to be, in order for me to take a breath. If that doesn't fill you, that thought alone, with a infinite sense of gratitude, no matter what's going on in life, that a universe arranged itself for you to be here, um, then I think we need to take a few steps back and maybe uh, reevaluate what we think of as being important, because none of the details matter if this, in Buddhism they call it the suchness of the moment. Um, Without that suchness, then nothing is. That job, that high priority job, the sports car, the uh, family, friends, none of that exists without existence. So be happy. We're here. Um, so just another way of working with Ram Dass's "Be Here Now." Let's add one word: be happy now. Be joyful now. Being happy and being joyful in no way discounts being depressed, being filled with sorrow, suffering. It just means that I talked about this yesterday and probably every day, the blue sky nature of the mind. Again, referring to a Buddhist concept, that the mind is likened to the blue sky. We should just say the sky, because the sky is so open, such capacity, that it even holds the color blue. It also holds clouds, every cloud, from a burst of fluffy whiteness to, don't make fun of me for saying fluffy, um, to storm clouds, to tree limbs, to birds, to airplanes, everything impartially, unconditionally, with love. And unconditional love means allowance. It means that we allow birds the same freedom. Lewis, good morning. How are you? I just, not more than probably, well, I guess half an hour right before I started this, I was watching your Navy SEALs. Um, I'm talking about a little bit about Carlos Castaneda. Um, and he's a Toltec seer. He uses the word quite a bit, impeccable. Um, and impeccable is a key concept in the Toltec tradition. And um, impeccable simply means being true to your inherent nature. We can bring back to blue sky, the blue sky nature of Buddhism, of the mind. And to round this back to burpees and Lewis, is that his Navy SEALs, his 5 pumps, his 3 pumps, 1 pumps, are all impeccable. His 1 pump looks exactly like his 5 pump. His first rep looks exactly like his 100th rep. I'm sure virtually everyone who might stumble across my channel has seen his. So if not, definitely check it out. Everyone who pops in here from the burpee world, I have same as well, Lewis. I appreciate that, and much love and respect to you, my friend. That there's a reason why I started posting burpees, and it wasn't because I think I have a gift to offer the burpee world. It was because of the inspiration provided by the people that I was watching, David Witten being one of the first, and the sincerity, the hard work, the dedication he put into his routines, and of course Paul from Oregon, who was a fellow busy dad practitioner. It's true. Paul from Oregon and Nick, both ganged up on me. I don't want to go so far as to say that she shamed me into doing it, but hey, let's call it like it is. They shamed me. You know, big talk keyboard warrior. You probably have never done a burpee before in your entire life. I had to get out there. I had to at least do one and put it on film. Um, so my channel exists because of Paul from Oregon, again, who was a serious busy dad practitioner who by months beat me to the magical number of 256 counts, which I am still not there, um, and has now moved on, not moved away. I think the Busy Dad program has a special place in both of our hearts. Um, I, I stop by Nick's page every so often, his channel, um, just to check in and send a positive message his way. Just let him know that I'm thinking about him, that I owe him a lot, um, and no pressure for him to return. But if he chooses to do so, he has a built-in audience waiting for him. Um, Nick is a good guy, um, and I, as far as busy dad Max, um, and sincerity, you don't get any more sincere than Max Edwards. Um, this is a man who is on a mission, and he's giving things away free. He's giving knowledge away. He's giving inspiration away. He's giving programs away. Um, do this. I really appreciate a program that takes away a certain amount of thought. I don't always want to freelance. Sometimes, at a certain point in my life, I want the drill sergeant to say, get up and do this. That's why I followed Pavel's simple and sinister routine almost during my entire ultra running career, because it was do get ups, 5 get ups per side, Turkish get ups, then do swings, do 100 swings, do this every day, get to this weight, and then consider doing something different. Kept me fit and strong during ultra running, which takes a toll on the body. Um, that a lot of ultra runners don't strength train. Um, Richard Run Trails is a perfect example of what to do, which is why he recovers so well from his races, why he finishes almost every 100, and why he recovers. Did I already say that? Why he recovers so quickly, so thoroughly, so that he can get out and he can do another race. Um, so, I was talking beginning the day, a sunrise walk, the importance of it, getting that sunlight to the eyes, um, tie it back to this aspect of the conversation, and that I talked about being spiritually renewed by walking every morning. It is the same as when I post a video, the simplicity of doing burpees, hitting the floor, standing up, and then repeat. Pretty simple and extremely effective. But what's the big deal of posting a video of it? The big deal was that I watched David Whitten do it and became inspired and wanted to share. I watched Paul from Oregon do it and then was routinely, again, shamed into sharing my routine. Um, now it is what it is. Lewis. Um, I watched those seamless reps. Again, first rep looking the same as his last rep. Um, if that doesn't spiritually renew you, um, maybe we're not paying close enough attention to what's really going on, which isn't just a mere burpee. It's commitment to something greater. It's giving yourself to motion, which is our true reality. A lot of times, spiritually speaking, we think in terms of stillness because we want to reach that state of meditation where everything is still, everything is calm, everything is deeply silent, which is true. But when we get to that level of deep silence, of deep calm, what we find, everything is moving, everything is motion. the universe is dynamic, that form is becoming emptiness, emptiness is becoming form, everything is in flux, nothing is static. The universe is still expanding, the Big Bang is still beginning, banging, um, and we are part of that, not separate, not removed in a bit. And when we do burpees, we're just being ourselves. Um, so there, I compared the self to a burpee. Um, I started this conversation earlier by saying don't be a dick. And then as we start nearing the end of it, it goes on to, in essence, we are burpees. Uh, I'm dropping some very deep spiritual truth bombs here. Don't be a dick, and we are burpees. Um, if I were to write another book, shameless plug that I have written a couple, um, those would be the titles of my next two books. We are burpees and don't be a dick. Honestly, realizing that motion is a big, big thing. Um, Realizing that motion and stillness are actually one thing allowing another. Um, Honestly, Paul, you could you could write those books yourself. You have uh, the burpees down packed, and you are um, as far from a dick. You've been nothing everywhere I see you pop up on a burpee channel, nothing but supportive. Um, I was very, Mocha can vouch for this if she's still here. Um, I was a little concerned about posting videos. I, hear stories of just um, people being, uh, that might be actually a better Boogie Down Productions. Um, I like it. And anyone who's watched my 6 counts in Navy SEALs, you really probably the first term that comes to mind is boogie. Um, so anyway, I'm looking at Paul's comment here. That's why I'm squinting my eyes at the screen. Um, oh, yes, it could be. Maybe we'll pass it on to Max and see what he thinks about maybe making that uh, shift in Busy Dad protocol. Um, yeah, I was very concerned posting videos because the I just don't want to face the trolls. It just seems so unnecessary to be a troll, and I don't want to invest my own energy in even commenting or acknowledging, um, having it come in my well-guarded space. I just don't need it. And yet, um, I've had one negative comment on my burpee forum, which, to be fair, one, who cares? Two, um, as I said in response, that my form is back to the magical word of impeccable. My form is as impeccable as my body allows each day. I don't do sloppy form, although sometimes my form might seem off because that's how my body is responding that day. I do what I can. Um, I agree, Lewis. And when I realized that, I was like, you know what? I want to I want to share my stuff because I want to share my stuff, not for any other reason. And you know, if people don't like it, you know, they can add that to the list of infinite things not to like about me. Um, I'm sure everyone here they're probably reaching in your pocket right now to pull out that list titled "The Infinite Things That I Don't Like About Eric." Um, it would be interesting. I don't know if you have videos from when you first started, Lewis, but um, to have a comparison between that and now, and it shows you what uh, Maxwell Gladstone and the 10,000 repetitions or the 10,000 hours of practice of anything and how it transforms you. In my own belief, um, uh, sorry, um, it doesn't take, the transformation isn't the end of 10,000 reps. It isn't the end of 10,000 hours. The transformation is in the repetition itself. We are changed by every rep. We're not on a journey of completion. We're on a journey of doing burpees, which means we do burpees. We don't have an end result. We don't have we don't even have a goal, because a goal means we finished sometime. Are you finished when you hit 250 burpees? Obviously, Paul from Oregon isn't finished because he hit 250 and then he maintained. And now he's doing things on the rings and on the bars that is just inspiring in a whole different direction. Unfortunately, his work on the bars has inspired me to do pulls from Oregon. I'm not real thrilled with this turn of events, mainly, obviously, because I'm going to have to go out and buy new shirts because my lat spread is just getting so magnificent. Um, just from 2 weeks, pulls from Oregon. So yeah, Lewis, I saw your comment the other day that um, I'm reading Paul's comment here, but I saw your comment the other day on your channel that you start every January, that you take a few months off. Um, there's another calisthenic athlete that does that as well. I can't remember his name. He will take the entire winter off. Uh, mentally, I am much better in motion, which is why, I've done getting close to uh, 600 days of burpees without missing a day. But it's not like I started that streak, or that I even considered a streak, um, before. I had worked out every day, probably for years, for decades, and Mocha can vouch for that. Um, that I don't take a day off, because what is the point of taking the day off? I'm not trying to recover to get big. I'm not trying to recover to get strong. My goal is motion. My goal is to do the things that I love to do. And the only way to achieve that goal is to do the things that you love to do. And then you can't fail but reach it. You know, um, if I had any message to give to anyone who would be kind enough to listen, it's that life's pretty simple. We complicate it, but joy, finding the things that you love to do and then doing them. There you go. When you start eating healthy, your taste changes and you enjoy eating healthy foods and you're healthy. We can see there's a connection here, that happiness begets happiness, joy begets joy. Yeah, I saw you mention that as well. And the thing is, you find that philosophy, you find that thing that works with you, and you do it. Because when you commit, Lewis, you are committed. No one can possibly doubt that. When you um, when you hit that go button, it's just going. Um, so I'm looking at Paul's comment. Yes, my hugeness, Paul, doesn't show up on camera. I don't know why. You know, uh, I get there, I get in front of the camera, I'm feeling huge. My lats are just, you know, barnyard is the term that comes to mind. And then for whatever reason, once the camera starts, I guess, it's the illusion of going through the lens, and I'm reduced to mere mortal burpee status, as opposed to my super lat spread status that I had before. It's all in the angles. I agree 100%. For me, Lewis, because um, I'm committed to a vegan lifestyle ethically, um, not so much for health reasons, although health reasons are a happy benefit, uh, in my opinion, that at this point in my life, everything I eat is just so enjoyable, um, taste wise, um, and effective, and works for me, that it's become a pretty. Um, I went through a long period of struggling with some issues, not enjoying what I was eating. I have things dialed down pretty well now. Um, so we'll see. I'm always open for changes, like with the beginning of the sunrise walk that I mentioned, which really helps my sleep, helps my mental state, eases depression. Um, you know, we are a system that is always ready for some type of adjustment, fine tuning. Fine tuning is a phrase that I like, that cosmologists use, that some believe the universe is fine tuned for existence. Um, for me, that for me, fine tuning and existence replies a separation that just isn't there. To say that the universe is fine tuned for us separates us from the universe. We are fine tuned to be expressed as the universe. The universe is fine tuned to be expressed as us. So um, I had to stop with my cold showers, Lewis, and my uh, I stopped my saunas and my cold plunge when COVID closed down my favorite place to go. So, um, well, they say the camera adds 10 pounds. So, uh, obviously, off camera, I am more super shredded than I am on camera. Um, Again, as Paul said, it's all angles. All right, guys. Um, it does remove lats as well, and it deflates the pectorals and uh, flattens out the biceps. Uh, I was hoping that modern technology would finally catch up with my bodily um, my bodily magnificence, but now technology is still holding me back appearance-wise. Uh, Also, I've been told that um, cameras, even the modern lenses, actually reduces hairline by up to a foot. So uh, we can see the results right here, live on YouTube. On YouTube, um, I knew, as predicted, when uh, Paul from Oregon and Mocha came on the scene, that this conversation would take a weird and unpredictable, well, predictable because it was going to be weird. But other than that, who knows where we went? So the conversation started with "Don't be a dick," and then I talked about being the positive effects of a sunrise walk, um, and we ended up with um, here we are, whatever this is. Very Buddhist in terms of whatever this is the inherent perfection of the moment. It was a valuable conversation because it was friends getting together and having a dialogue about, even in a better sense than Seinfeld. It was friends getting together and talking about absolutely nothing, but that nothingness contained a whole lot of joy, a whole lot of fun, um, maybe even some insights between us all. Um, for me, when this happens, for me, this is when magic happens, when people just show up and we get to have this great dialogue. Um, which one did Paul do yesterday? Was yesterday the squat workout? I have, now that my own workouts are slightly shifting from the Busy Dad. Not that I'm, fully moving away from Busy Dad. At least several days a week, I want an all-out session of Navy SEALs. I want an all-out session of one or more times of 6 counts. But I'm going back, when I first started, I was a little more mixed, and then I got very much focused. And I definitely have a habit of when I get focused, it becomes fairly an obsession. I know right now Mocha is shaking her head saying, no, no, no. Eric he doesn't get obsessed with anything. He's the type of person that things just, roll off his shoulders gently. There's no obsession there whatsoever. So this is probably, like I said, it's coming as a shock that she had to hear this on camera on my burpee channel. But I am moving more towards I agree. The entire world is as it becomes, is fine-tuning cosmology at its best. So it appears I've lost the thread of the conversation. It says tap to retry. Whenever there is a button that says tap to retry or something along those lines, I know that once I tap, some type of impending disaster is going to happen. My phone's going to explode. I'll lose the entire conversation. Something. But let's give it a shot here. See there it is. So, as I was saying, that one, I'm moving back into some mixed things. I have a bunch of routines saved that I want to try, several of which are Paul's. I very much I'm appreciative of the Pulls from Oregon routine, and I enjoy it, and I enjoy being able to mix things up around it. Burpee Maddie, of course, is always putting out awful, awful stuff that he puts in a big evil book that he carries with him. It's like a wizard, who has that book of spells, and he's going to pull it out. And then, I'm going to have to try it. Paul's going to have to try it. Someone's going to have to try it. And that evil just spreads from there. And then now he's doing it with Bible quotes. So you can't even rightly, I think it's a cover. You can't even rightly say it's evil. Yeah, it was surprising how much that routine sucked. It was an escalating suck. Starting out thinking this isn't so bad, and then math fails me, or a better way of saying is I don't do math, and I'm always surprised. I look at it later and I thought, shit, that was 350 push-ups or 350 burpees that I just did, and not even realize that I did that many burpees and that many push-ups. Anyway, guys, I have to end the session. I appreciate everyone showing up today. This was a lot of fun. Then that's true. The Gnostics had a different perspective than more modern Christianity developed. Always surprises me that the roots of Christianity and how it would seem to be unrecognizable today. All right, so going to end the conversation now. Again, I appreciate everyone showing up and the conversation that we had. More than that, I appreciate the fun that you guys brought to my afternoon. I will see everyone tomorrow for burpees, and I believe it's a Navy SEAL session, unless I decide to do something mixed. And then I'll be back again tomorrow for live. You guys have a good day. Take care, and I'll see you tomorrow.